And so I've got three things for you on how to manifest your healing. So one, recognize where you are right now is not where you want to stay. And I really believe that this is almost like the turning point to start the healing, because we can stay in our self-pity. We can wallow in those things that we're feeling, that pain, that hurt, that anger. We can stay in that space if we choose to. There's nobody telling us, or maybe there is, but there's nobody telling us that you have to shift from this. There's people who will tell you all the time, you should just get over it. You don't get over grief. You get through. You get through the grief season. You get through the grief journey. We don't get over the loss. We'll forever miss our loved ones. But I believe that in order for the healing part of it to start, to get through the pain of it, is that we have to acknowledge that where we are right now is not where we want to stay. So, 10 years into my grief journey, which was 2010, 2017, I made a conscious decision and asked God a very serious question. I said, why did you allow me to go through this? Why at 21 would you take both of my parents away from me? And he told me that I put you through this because I wanted you to be in the position to help others. I was tired of being depressed. I was tired of when their angel anniversaries came, I didn't want to do anything but stay in the bed. I was over that, right? I was ready to do something different. My spirit was ready to do something different. And I think that is how my turning point started to shift. Of course, you still go all about life, and you still have accomplishments and achieve goals, and you work and you have jobs and relationships and all these kind of things, but you don't begin to feel that sense of purpose or a meaning for the loss until you get to a place where you're like, I'm sick and tired of this. Like, this pain has got to go away. There's got to be something else for my life other than this pain that I am feeling. And so number one is to recognize where you are right now is not where you want to stay. Number two, remember that life is not going to be the same, and that's okay. It was really difficult for me in the beginning to accept that this was my new life. So my mom passed away July 13th of 2007, and school started back in August. So I was a junior in college when she passed away. And I was an athletic trainer for the University of Kentucky for the women's basketball team. I was a new member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. I was a part-time employee at the bookstore because my mom had cancer. And so I got a part-time job so I could, make a little money, have groceries and gas in my car and things. And of course, I was a full-time student, so I had a workload. And then, of course, I have friends. I'm in college, party and have a good time, right? I was trying to go back into the exact same life, as if I just didn't put my mother in the ground, as if I just didn't become an orphan. I tried to re-enter life the exact same way, like, yeah, this part is missing, but we can still do the same things. No, I got so overwhelmed with trying to maintain the same life with her being absent that I ran myself into the ground, that I didn't have my support system. I wasn't checking in. I wasn't doing any type of therapy. I was just literally, okay, it's over and I'm back into my same life. And it put me in so much of a bad space that that was the time that I actually attempted suicide, because I ran myself into the ground so much and I was so overwhelmed with my grief that I felt like life just wasn't worth living. And so I share that with you because I want you to know that when we try so desperately to recreate our life, to try to make everything just like it was, we do more harm than good. We have to allow ourselves to go through the grief journey. We have to allow every single part of the stages of grief to occur. And that's what I'm going to talk about tomorrow. Is I've given my own 5 C's to grief. But we have to allow ourselves to be angry, to be depressed, to be sad, to ask questions, to be numb, to live in shock. All of those things really have to happen because our loved ones are the people that we've been connected to humanly. God did not put us on this earth for us to live by ourselves. We're supposed to commune and engage with others. That's what life is all about. And so when they're taken from us and they're stripped from us, it hurts. And so we have to allow ourselves to go through that process of mourning and getting through that in order to become healed. And so if we try to rush the process, if we try to go back to the way life was before we lost them, we're only robbing ourselves of our healing. And so that's point number 2, is just to remember that life is just, it's not going to be the same, and that's okay. Something else is going to evolve out of it, but we cannot burn ourselves out trying to keep the same life. And then number 3 is to reaffirm that with God, a plan and support, then we can live life again after loss. And so I call this as the GPS, right? God, a plan, and support. And so I don't think that we can do any of these without, having all the pieces of the puzzle together. While I love God and He is the head of my life, I know that He also put resources in place in order for us to be able to move through this journey. If you are a part of my Facebook group, which is Grieving Christians, the mantra is prayer and practical resources. We can pray you through, we can give you scriptures, I can intercede on your behalf and talk to God and to give you comfort. But I believe that you have to have practical resources like understanding what grief is, learning about healthy coping mechanisms, knowing how to get through the waves and the ebbs and flows of grief. I believe in practical resources too. I believe in grief coaching. That's why I became a coach, because you need to have someone to talk to be able to get through this, to get all of those feelings out. All of those things come together in tandem for your healing. So while I love God and my faith is in Him, we also need to have a plan. And that plan is, okay, if I can't talk to my family, my loved ones, maybe I need to join a support group. Maybe I need to find some resources online. Maybe I need to seek out therapy or a grief coach and talk to someone who understands. That's having a plan. We can't just, think that we're going to lay in the bed or we're going to wake up and say, all right, I'm ready to be healed, and the healing just drops. That's not how it works. We have to be active participants in our healing. And so that's coming up with your plan. And then support. So support is talking with people, talking with family members and friends. And I understand that there may be people in your life that you are expecting to show up, expecting to check in and to be there and to support, and they aren't doing what you want. We have to, as the person who is grieving, you have to be the one to recognize that maybe that person just doesn't have the capacity to be there for me. Maybe they've never experienced this before and they just don't know how to do this. So we have to allow people to be in their respective spaces in their areas. So maybe we leave our friends as the people we just talked to, and to get away from that and try to, have a sense of normalcy with our friends. But I'm also a part of a support group where I can be vulnerable and transparent and talk to people and ask questions and get support. Maybe I do have one friend who has lost a loved one, an immediate family loved one as well. And they're going to be, my accountability support to where they understand what I'm going through because they have experienced this as well. And so we need all of those pieces in order to get through the healing. That is remembering that God will never leave you nor forsake you. Remembering that this too shall pass. Remembering that with God, all things are possible. But we have a plan. We have a legitimate plan on how we're going to be active in seeking and getting that healing that we want. And then we're going to have people in our corner to be a support. So we have a grief group. We have coaches. We're in therapy. We're doing all of these different things to where we can get the support that we need so we're not going through this alone.